Let's change this tumbler into this using the X-Tool P2. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Betzy. I'm the creator behind Amor to Create. Today, we are gonna engrave this tumbler using the rotary attachment with the X-Tool P2 CO2 laser. Let me show you step by step the things that you should follow to have a perfect engraving.
You're gonna need a tumbler, alcohol, and a measurement tape. It is imperative to take your time and take notes of the dimensions of your tumbler before installing it into the RA2. You're gonna need these dimensions for your image and to set up X-Tool Creative Space. Measure the perimeter of your tumbler as well as the area where you will like your design. The perimeter of my tumbler is about 9 3/8 of an inch, and the length is about 8 inches. Another important detail is to know if your tumbler is not straight, because you will need to compensate for the inclination of the tapered shape using the attachment of the rotary attachment 2 Pro. I like to measure my tumbler first and then clean it with alcohol. Let's set up the X2 rotary attachment. For this engraving project, we are gonna need the leveler and the medium jaws attached to the base of the rotary attachment. Connect the cables from the rotary attachment to the laser engraver. Open the chuck on the rotary attachment and place the tumbler inside, ensuring that it's centered and balanced. Because the tumbler is tapered, the lever will help to align the tumbler correctly. We also need to place the red dot laser beam at the topmost side of the tumbler. If you cannot see it, close the lid and open it again and you're gonna be able to see it. Align the laser beam with the surface of the tumbler, the highest part of the tumbler. And here is a personal tip. You can draw a line, a straight line, to make sure that your rotary attachment is positioned correctly and centered correctly. If your rotary attachment is not aligned, your design will be crooked. I use this piece of wood to make sure that my rotary attachment is aligned. Now let's go to the XCS and import our settings for a successful engraving project. Upload your design using the image button. I'm using an SVG or a raster image. Select your image and set the processing type to engrave. Next, select the laser cylindrical option from the first drop-down menu located to the right of the screen. Your view will change, turning the screen to its side. Remember that the tumbler is upside down in your screen, so your image will need to be rotated 180 degrees. I added a square to the design to help me center the image better. But remember to click ignore for the extra layer that you will not use. I decided to delete it to not get confused. Select the shock mode and add your perimeter measurements. Because my tumbler red spot is at the highest point of the cylinder, I will click the auto measure. Remember that the red spot needs to be at the highest point of your tumbler to be able to use the auto measure correctly. Remember, if after using the auto measure your software shows a pop-up with a mistake in the distance, your tumbler might be too high or too low in the machine. Now select your image to input the engraving settings. If you haven't saved the settings for your tumbler, simply add the power, speed, and lines information. If you have your settings saved, click the drop-down menu. I already have my settings saved under P2 white black tumbler, and that's the settings that I'm gonna use right now. Before sending your image to the machine, always double check the settings and the position of your image. To send your design to the machine, hit start. You will see a preview of what will be engraved. Then hit the start button from the top right corner. Monitor the process and keep a close eye on the engraving progress, ensuring that the tumbler rotates smoothly and the laser engraves the design accurately. If any issues arise, pause the engraving and address the problem before continuing. Our tumbler is ready. Let's clean it up. I use the Awesome spray and carefully clean the burn lines. Once the engraving is finished, inspect the tumbler to ensure the design has been accurately transferred. Examine the engraved design on the tumbler, and if you're satisfied, always remember to save your settings.
Wasn't that so much fun? I hope that you got inspired and you stay tuned for future projects using the X2 P2. See you again soon. Adios.